Boom. Hey, yo. What's going on, everybody? Long time no see. Welcome back. If you're joining me again, and welcome for the first time, if this is your first time tapping in here to the content. I appreciate you joining us in the live session, or if you're watching this after the fact, I appreciate you tapping in here. For those who don't know, my name is Derek, covering everything wholesaling real estate on this channel, specifically virtually wholesaling real estate. That's what I'm doing, living out in California, sourcing opportunity in the Houston, Texas market, Houston Metro, really. So if you're in Houston or the surrounding areas and you're wholesaling there, either physically or virtually, I'd love to connect. I'd love to network and see if we may be able to provide some value to each other on any future deals. Best way to get in contact with me is either going to be through Instagram or Discord. Both those links are in the description of this video. A couple other links down there as well. Check it out if you're interested in batch leads and batch skip tracing. I have batch leads. I run my comps and I kind of house my lists in there. And I use batch skip tracing as well to get my data. Both of those are affiliate links. Excuse me, full disclosure. So if you'd like to support me and support the channel here, I'd appreciate it if you checked out those links. They are free to use the links and to sign up. And I just think that I'll get some type of a kickback when you do end up skip tracing with batch. I've tried a few other providers in terms of skip tracing. I personally think the batch skip tracing is the best based off of the few competitors that I have tried. Also, full transparency, I never really intended for this channel to be like crazy educational. I really just wanted to hold myself accountable, hop on here and document what it is that I'm doing every day. So just along with the lines of transparency, I have closed 2 deals myself. Been doing it for a little, probably, I'd say a little over a year. Closed 2 deals myself, virtually, both of them. One with a boots on the ground partner, JV partner. The second one, I facilitated virtually all by myself. So got a few leads come down the pipeline here. We have one under contract with one of the YouTube subscribers here, Jared, and his wife Raina have been helping me out with my Spanish speaking lead. So that one is under contract. The tenant's given us a little bit of a hassle to get in there and get some pictures. So we haven't had the chance to market it out to buyers yet. But that's kind of the biggest one on our plate right now. What I was going to do today, I know I've been kind of scrambling. I've been all over the place, and it's been a while since I've hopped on here. So wanted to hop on here and text through the new batch of data that I skip traced and imported into my texting platform last week. Like I said, I just had a bunch of things pop up. I do have something, kind of the last thing that I have to take care of, which is today. I'm getting my car serviced, so I got to bring that in a few hours. So probably going to be on here for like an hour and a half before I have to hop off and go handle that. And then I will likely come back after the fact and maybe hop on the phones later. It just all depends. So, but I did want to come on here, start by going through my texting platform. I use REI reply as in real estate investing, real estate investments, whatever you want to say in terms of the I, but REI reply is the platform that I use to text. And the power of it is really the automation that comes attached to it. So whereas other texting providers, you have to like click to send each individual message, this one is automated. So you can add it in like a drip campaign. So for those who are familiar with like email marketing or any other form of marketing, really, when you're referring to it as a drip campaign, it means that it's adding it like 1 at a time, 2 at a time. You get to decide how frequently they get added to the campaign. So what I'm going to do today, I'll kind of talk through it, is send off like 5 texts at a time, as opposed to just sending off 200 all at once, because that's going to make it come across as human-like as possible, and it's not going to raise a red flag with the phone carriers. That'll get my phone numbers flagged spam or flagged in general. So that's what that drip mode allows you to do. And then the automation is really where it's powerful in this platform, is So you can set up multiple campaigns based on these people's responses. So if somebody responds, yeah, I'm interested, but I'm not going to be ready for another 6 months, I would add them into my campaign that is titled interested, but not right now. And that's all I have to do. And now the automation is going to take kind of run its course because I set everything up on the back end or on the front end rather. So they get there, I add them to the campaign, and then they're going to get that initial text maybe 7 days later. And then if they don't reply to that, they'll get another text 2 weeks later. If they don't reply to that, they'll get another text a month later. And it's all happening in the background because I set it up all in the beginning. Now all I have to do is add them into that campaign. So that automation is really powerful. And you can set up multiple campaigns based on common responses. So interested but not right now. Um, you know interested, needs an offer. Maybe the conversation kind of fizzled out. Made an offer, but offer not accepted. These are kind of some of the examples that I have. Made an offer, but not accepted. So now you're following up automatically in terms of, hey, just wanted to round back on that offer that I made a couple weeks ago, yada, yada. So that's what I'm using. And for that reason, with the automation happening in the background, the more people that you add to these follow-up campaigns as opposed to that initial campaign, the more like random responses you get because it could be 20 days later from when you initially added them to that campaign or when you initially texted them, and just now are they replying, right? And it's pretty interesting to see too the analytics of it all, to see how and when at what point in time do people reply. So a lot of people are replying after the fifth text. You know, they maybe think like, hey, if I just don't reply to this guy, he's gonna stop texting me, and then I text them 4, 5, 6 times, and then they finally say, we're not interested in selling that property, or you have the wrong number. But it's interesting to see how at what point, how many texts deep into the campaign do people actually reply. So um, I wanted to bring that up because what I'm going to do right now to start is kind of clean through some of these responses that I've gotten. So I got a few yesterday that just popped up randomly. Um, you're talking to the wrong person. And that was after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 texts and 2 ringless voicemails. Did he let me know that I was talking to the wrong person? And that's something else that is really powerful about REI Reply in the tool is you can set up triggers, is what it's called in the background. So a trigger is essentially an if then statement. So if this happens, then have the system do this. So you can set up as many as you want in the background based on what the people are saying, um, you know, where you want the people to go, if you want to add them to a campaign. So some of the triggers, just as an example on this one, the phrase wrong person is a trigger that I have. So what the system did was it handled it all on its own. I didn't even have to touch it. It saw that it was the person said wrong person. It tagged that person as wrong number, and it marked the conversation as read. So I didn't even have to see it. I just so happened was on my phone and saw it. So I knew that this was the case. So I'm just kind of cleaning it up. Delete my number. Don't know about it. So that sounds like another wrong person. I'll tag wrong number. The number you are sending an SMS to currently has no SMS capabilities. So in this case, and it's already actually happened because it's gotten to the end of the campaign. So on my initial campaign, I do a 20-day campaign where they get, again, 5 texts and 2 ringless voicemails sprinkled throughout the first 3 days, 7 days later, 5 days later, for the first 20 days. And if they get all the way through to the 20th day and that last text goes out and they don't respond, then they get added to a list that I have titled "Push to Dialer Cold Call." So if they've made it all the way through the 20 days and never texted back, then I'm going to take them and I'm going to put their number into my dialer so that I can try cold calling them, trying to hit them from two different angles. So in this case, it's already this last text had gone out. So at that point, they've already been tagged, no response, and cold call. Is not for sale, but if you want to buy, the price is 256. I remember this guy. I ran the numbers. I had actually had a conversation with the gentleman. He sent me pictures and everything, but his asking price is absurd. And what I like to do as well is have my dialer open. So I know this is redundant for somebody who's watched my videos before, but for those who haven't watched before, I am essentially operating off of two separate platforms: my texting platform, REI Reply, and Call Tools, which is my dialer. I have no central CRM, so I'm essentially, again, operating off of two different ones, but they share similar data. So I'm going to take the mobile numbers and put them into my texting platform. I'm going to take all the landlines and all the other numbers and put them into my dialer. So I'm never going to be texting one number and then calling the same number unless they don't ever reply to my text. Then I'll bring those mobile numbers into my dialer. But what I like to do just to save time is if somebody's going to text me back on their mobile number, and it's very clear that it's the person that I'm looking for and they've expressed that they're not interested in selling or that they are interested in selling, I like to go into my dialer and either remove them from the dialer so that I don't waste time calling them on their landline or calling them at their office or whatever other numbers are attached there. I just like to quickly remove them from the dialer because it's going to save me time in the future, not having to waste time calling them when they've already told me that they're not interested. And if I'm generating a lead through text, I also don't want to cold call them as if this is the first time we've talked. And that's actually what prompted me to implement this process here, is because I generated a lead on my texting platform. I called somebody, probably on their landline, and they were like, "Yeah, Derek, we've been talking, remember?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just a little awkward, you know." It was really no big deal, but I figured it only takes a quick second. So, like this guy, Raul, go ahead and look him up in my dialer. There he is. I'm going to go ahead and mark him not interested and toggle him not ready, which in Call Tools, I believe, will remove them from any. They need to be ready, quote unquote, ready to be added into the campaigns. So by doing that real quick, again, just kind of eliminated him from my texting pipeline as well as my dialer pipeline. I think that's everybody who I wanted to, yeah. A lot of people had texted me back from the other time I was on here following up with people. This gentleman, price is too far apart. We really weren't, though. I was talking to him back near Thanksgiving. He wanted, how much? He wanted north of 300, and I was at like 270. I think I probably could have gone a little higher. My max was 275 for a small assignment fee. I ran comps 3 months ago, so maybe values have pushed a little bit, but I don't think that they would have pushed so crazy that I'd be able to come up another, 30,000, another 10%. So I am going to. I'm marking him not interested for now, but I am going to set myself a task to rerun numbers comps. Can you offer more than 300K? I'm just going to revisit this in like 3 months. What's up to the people in here? I appreciate you dropping that like. If you haven't already, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel as well if you are finding that content here is beneficial. I have a goal of 250 by the end of the first quarter, which is about a month and a half. We're sitting right around 136, I believe. So a little bit more than 100. I'm trying to essentially double up by the end of March. This person said 500,000. I believe at this point I've already removed all of these people from my dialer, but just to be sure, I think this is kind of the cutoff. Yeah, she's not even in here. All right. So that's that. That is that. I also just like to kind of go back through the recent texts, because if your Twilio is being flagged, the numbers, then it will kick back as an error. It'll show you. And depending on what the error code is, makes the world of the difference. If it's 30003, then that just means you're accidentally texting a landline or some phone number that can't get text. But if it's 30007, that means your number is flagged with the phone carriers and you should be getting new numbers. Stuff like that. So just hopping into Twilio real quick, making sure that I have a couple bucks in there to send off this new round of texts. Please register for US A2P 10 DLC in 13 days. T-Mobile and AT&T will increase per message fees for unregistered long code traffic. In addition, T-Mobile will begin imposing their one-time $50 campaign activation fee for any new standard campaign registrations. Register now to avoid fees. Interesting. So I kind of knew that I was going to have to do something with this soon at one point in time. The 10 DLC, digit long code, is what that stands for. You essentially have to like register your phone numbers and attach them to your LLC or an LLC, whatever LLC you want those numbers to be attached to. It's just a way of again associating the numbers with an actual legal entity. So it's a way that they're rolling it out, the phone carriers, to mitigate scamming and spamming and stuff like that. Just gonna, I think, overall, what am I trying to say? Overall, just promote like good practice, best practices, because if your LLC is attached to these numbers, you're probably going to be a whole lot less likely to send off a bunch of spammy messages and stuff like that, because it's going to be a lot easier to connect that number with your LLC. So it looks like that's happening in a few weeks over on Twilio. So now on REI Reply, I'm going to come into my marketing, go into campaigns. I'm going to go, I'm sorry. Going to go into contacts /smart lists. When I import new data, I create little smart lists for them. It's just like a quick little list. So I have 236 driving for dollars properties, 146 driving for dollars. A lot of these are duplicates, just different numbers. You have to, REI Reply can only have like one mobile number at a time. Well, it can have multiple mobile numbers at a time, but to navigate it and text them easily, it's just a little bit more efficient to take one property. They have 3 mobile numbers, to upload it 3 times with each one with its own mobile number. It just makes it a lot easier and a lot more organized. So I have 520 numbers to text. I don't know how many exactly properties those are, but I'll go ahead and start with this one, which is 236. I'll probably do this for today, just so that I can stay consistent. I don't want to blow through all of them. I like kind of slow playing it, staying consistent. I just finished driving for dollars this morning, and I have another list ready to be skip traced, just over like 300 properties. So I do have some kind of waiting in the hopper. But again, just for the sake of staying consistent. So I'll take these 236. What I'm going to do is select all 236 records. I'm going to add to campaign. I'm going to select the campaign, which is my general 20-day campaign. I'm going to add in drip mode. For anybody who uses REI Reply and is kind of following along with me, please add it in drip mode. Do not add it all at once. I mentioned earlier that that's just like the surefire way to get your numbers flagged as spam is if you send off hundreds of texts all at once. To be quite honest, I'm not even sure why they have that as an option. I say that every time. I guess it would make sense if you're texting like 10 or less people, but to really get the benefit of this platform, you're going to be sending off hundreds of texts at a time. So always just add it in drip mode. They ask for a little description of the action. I like to say 236 contact import to general 20-day campaign. Start on today. My system is in my markets time. So right now it's 12:07 p.m. in my market. So I'll have these start at 12:10 p.m., 3 minutes from now. I'm going to send off 5 every 1 minute. I found that that's kind of my sweet spot where I'm able to still handle the replies at that rate. So 236 divided by 5 is going to take me about 47 minutes. So they give you an optional process between these hours. I like to do it just in case my math is wrong. So I'm going to say start from 12 p.m. and then 47 minutes from when they're going to start at 12:10 is 12:57. So they should end at 1 p.m. So I like to just give that window again, just in case my math is wrong. And for some reason, they're going to be sent off way after that. That way, this is kind of just checks and balances to make sure that they get cut off at some point. So they will get cut off at 1 p.m. regardless. But I think that they should be sent. The campaign should finish a little bit before that. I'm going to go 1:30 p.m. just to be safe. So I'm going to go add to campaign, and now those are going to get sent off in 2 minutes. So keep your fingers crossed. Wish me some luck. Hopefully we get some favorable replies here. What's going on, Jared? Just sent off a batch of sending off a batch of 236 texts. Those are going out 5 every minute. Been a minute since I've done this here. Let me reorganize, honestly. There we go. 5 every minute. And last time I did this, it was giving me trouble. It was going really slow. I feel like maybe I need to go through my computer and kind of clean it up some. Because it was giving me trouble last time. Usually it's like, as the texts go out, it just populates and you can see every single individual text going out. But last time it was like I had to continually refresh my screen, and then when it refreshed, there'd be like 20 texts that I had to catch up on. So hopefully it doesn't do that. But yeah, again, I'm bringing high vibes, positive vibes into this text session right here, hoping that this data is good. I'm sure the data is good. Again, I skipped with batch, and this is I just like texting. I like marketing to my driving for dollars list. It's my favorite one to market to. It's my favorite one to call. It's my favorite one to text. Just market to in general, because the lists aren't as beat up. Meaning there's not, hundreds of other investors pulling the same exact list, calling the same exact people, and they're not frustrated with the fact that they get hundreds of calls every day, all day. For a much bigger chunk of these people, I'm contacting them for the first time. So it's just, again, it's easier on your mental, to be marketing to people like that, because as much as, with practice and repetition, you kind of get numb to the hate that you get on the phone, people cursing you out, people telling you to lose their number, all that stuff, all the no's as well. It's very easy to kind of succumb to the feelings that those type of responses bring. But And again, with practice and repetition, that gets a lot easier to handle and manage. But it's kind of a breath of fresh air to just be marketing to these lists where you're not getting that sometimes at all. You know what I mean? But for the most part, you're gonna get that in every list. But when you're building a custom driving for dollars list, where the likelihood of these people being on other lists is lower, then you just get a little bit less of that. How many people you text them? Send it off to 236. Um, I have a couple hundred after that as well, but I think I'm gonna cut it at 236 today so that I can send off some more tomorrow, or I just kind of want to slow play it. I have I think it was like over 500 people 500 numbers, probably like 200 or so properties, 2 to 300 properties that I'm texting. 500 numbers though, because a couple mobile numbers are attached to like each property. And then I just finished driving for dollars earlier as well, and my driving for dollars list is back up over 300. So got a couple hundred more that I can skip trace and do this as well. So just trying to stay consistent. So texts are going off. I kind of just like to, since my marketing budget is tight, go through these texts individually to ensure that none of them are kicking back with an error code, because unfortunately, even if they do kick back with an error code like this one, um, they will still be continue to be marketed to, since it's a 20-day campaign. Again, it's so if they don't answer the text or ringless voicemail that's getting sent off right now, they will get another text and another ringless voicemail tomorrow. If they don't reply to that, they'll get another text the next day. They don't reply to that 5 days later. And unfortunately, even if they kick back as an error, they're still going to be texted, and it's still costing you marketing, your marketing budget. So um, at one point in time, it's going to be kind of just like the cost of doing business. Because like I've already clicked through like 10, 15, 20 texts, and only one of them was error. So it's really not that big of a deal, but I'm doing it I've gotten honest with myself, and I know that I'm doing this at a small scale. So if I have the means to cut uh, a text conversation off because I'm really not sending text to anybody and I'm just wasting money, then I might as well. It's just, it's kind of to each his own. That's just the way that I'm doing it here. And what I do is, if they do kick back as an error code, I will tag them as cold call, and then they get added to that list that I was referring to earlier. That list is everybody who never texted me back throughout the course of that initial 20-day campaign, or people who it was an error. For the most part, it's like the phone that I'm texting can't receive numbers. That's the most common error code, which is 30003 on Twilio. So for the most part, I just add them to my cold calling list. And then once that cold call list gets to like a couple hundred, I try to, wait until it gets a little bulky so that I'm not grabbing every night 10 properties just to add them to my dialer. Wait till, it gets to 200-300 people. I'll export them, and then I'll import it into my dialer. And then I have a specific campaign called no SMS response that I will dial on my dialer. So I just know it's not really sectioned off, or like it's not tagged or anything like that. It's just, this is anybody who never texted me back or I was unable to reach through text. They can be my driving for dollars list. It can be an absentee owned list that I pulled. It's just kind of a melting pot of anybody who I've already run through my texting platform. So these are getting sent off. Sent off probably like 20 at this point. Again, they're sending off 5 every minute. Now they are starting to drop those ringless voicemails. If they don't reply to that initial text in 5 minutes, then they get a ringless voicemail. And the ringless voicemail sounds like, "Hey, I just texted you about a property I think you own. Like, just wanted to see if you had any interest in selling." Just kind of get straight to it, to be honest. That's I've really been taking that approach. I know I mentioned in a recent video about RJ Bates. He he's kind of inspired me in that aspect. He's just a straight shooter, get straight to the point, and that's something that I'm trying to adopt. Right, I'm not trying to convince anybody to sell me their property. Rather, I'm just really going after the low hanging fruit. Anybody who could use my help is somebody who I'm trying to help. Not to say I won't entertain a conversation with anybody else, but for the most part, what I've found, especially in entering into contracts and having to cancel them, that the people who I've made it to the closing table are people who really need my help. People who, those are the type of people who are going to be willing to cooperate and participate in the process, as opposed to somebody who's just looking for the most money for their house. So here's one text me back saying wrong number. So the system automatically picked up on that, tagged him as wrong number, and marked the conversation as read. The one thing that I don't do, that I've considered possibly is turning back on is I don't I've if they are gonna call this number back that I'm texting them from, it just goes straight to voicemail. Um, I've kind of just shut off the hate that comes with people who are gonna call me back. I know that that's a thing. I know I'm maybe missing out on opportunity, but I've kind of taken it upon myself to make that decision for my own mental sanity. Because 9 times out of 10, if they're going to call you back, they're going to say, "Take my number off the list." They're going to curse you out. They're going to, you know what I mean? It's just going to be hate. 9 times out of 10. So that's why I say, I leave that 1 out of 10 times where I'm sure I am maybe missing out on opportunity. But at the same time, if they're never going to text me back, I will call them at some point in time. So if they, want to talk on the phone and that's their preferred method of contact, I'm going to wait to talk with them when I call them on my time. Mario says yes for $10 million. See, like that's something that I could even set up in the background as a trigger is like the word million. Nothing that I'm marketing to should be going for not even 1 million. So I'm gonna come in here, tag him, not interested, high asking price. I like to tag them high asking price just so that I can maybe at one point in time I sort through all my high asking prices because not all of them are this absurd. Some of them are just slightly high. Maybe if the market continues seeing the appreciation that it sees in a year or two, maybe their high asking price isn't as high. So I like to just kind of as appropriately as possible tag them for future reference. But like this, Mario, I'm not sure if this is the person that I'm even looking for, right? Like he didn't really say anything that indicates that he is the actual homeowner that I'm looking for, Mario. All he said was, "Yeah, for $10 million." That could just be anybody. That could be the wrong number, and they're just messing with me. So that's not somebody who I'm going to go and remove from my dialer. Because I think it's worth giving those other numbers a try, maybe his landline or any other number that was associated with that property. I think it's worth calling through those numbers for that specific property, just because I'm not 100% sure that that's was the right person. Right. Good number of these Ringless voicemails are getting dropped. Some new tags. Getting some responses here. Okay, George says 200,000. Now what I can do is quickly pull his information up and click the Zillow button to see what the Zestimate is. Zestimate's 117. Same thing. I'm not going to waste my time. That's the best taking we can do. That's the best talking, is what he meant to say we can do. Because my initial question is, can we talk about it? He says 200,000. That's the best talking we can do. I will tag him. Same thing. Not interested. High asking price. But again, this isn't a high asking price that's so absurd. ARV in the area maybe 160, 170. He's essentially asking retail. If he's asking 200, I'm confident that I would have been able to talk him down a little bit if he was even interested, but it doesn't sound like he's even interested. But at one point in time, if he does actually become interested and his asking price is something around that and the market has continued skyrocketing, then maybe, right? As long as the condition isn't too poor. But for now, not worth my time. And I don't even text those people back. Just go ahead and tag them accordingly and move on. If it was a little bit more of a reasonable price, like if he was asking 150, maybe I try to pre-qualify him a little bit and try to have him drop his price significantly still. But you know what I mean? At that price right there, it's not even worth trying to, especially with his follow-up text. It was clear that he was not wanting to even talk about it. Veronica says stop. System should pick up on that, which it did. Marked it as DNC, removed it from the campaign, and then marked the conversation as read. So 1, 2, 3, 4 replies so far in the first, what? When did I start? 4 replies in the first 13 minutes. Pretty good. Obviously, could be way better at volume, but at this rate, pretty good. I'm happy with it. Somebody else may see that and be like, what? Only 4? But I'm taking the custom approach, the driving for dollars approach, the more intimate marketing, as opposed to just pulling a list of 100,000 properties, kind of hand-picking these properties. I'm not Wanda. Okay. Wrong number. Boom, bada bang. Okay, slowing down a little bit here. As in my internet, I had to refresh the screen. Falling a little behind. Go back to I'm not Wanda. Right. All caught up. What's going on with you guys, though? Catch me up to speed. You guys got any leads? Any closed deals? I have had a few people reach out to me in recent days, letting me know that they've closed a deal. Damon Senior, one of the subscribers here, just got paid $10,000 on one of his deals. He ended up having to drive out to the property and help either the tenant or the seller remove their belongings before the buyer actually funded the deal. So he did that. It sounded like he had to drive a few hours away from his house in order to get that done. But he said, and I agree, it's well worth the $10,000 check. So he did that and got paid on that one the other day. So that was good news. Always happy to hear that. Yeah, and none of these, I just want to make sure, none of these people, well, George, the one who gave me the unreasonable 200,000, that does seem to be the actual person. So I will remove him from my dialer. Come in here, mark him not interested, and toggle him not ready. Call tools. Make sure that nobody else was like that. Wrong number. Stop. I'm not one to. Got the wrong person. Wrong number. John, you got the wrong person. Please take me off your list. I plan to block your number if you contact me again. Thanks. System handled that. Marked it wrong number. Tagged it DNC. Should have marked it as red as well. It may just be lagging a little bit, but let me go ahead and mark that as red. Wrong number says Irene. Another kind of learning lesson, teaching moments. Some people will say wrong and spell out number. Some people will put wrong hashtag. So, you got to have multiple triggers set up in the background. So this one was wrong hashtag. I have the trigger set up. So again, the system handled it, tagged it wrong number, marked the conversation as red. So when you're doing this at scale, that type of stuff matters. The fact that you're not having to go into that conversation and do all of that, tag it, wrong number, tag it, click to mark the conversation as red. You just want to, prioritize and only talk to the people who are willing to actually have a conversation with you. And again, people who could use your help. But at this point, when I'm kind of just small balling it, doesn't really matter because I have, time and energy to just quickly do it. I'm only getting a handful of responses in the first place. At that rate, I'm talking when you're getting you're sending off hundreds a day, hundreds of texts a day. And when you do send them out, you just want to focus on the people who are responding favorably. The more you can take off of your plate and have the system handle all the other replies, the better. The more time you have to go ahead and handle the ones that need to be prioritized. So like this person, Helen, all she texted back was no. So within the system, we want to tag her as not interested, but I don't really know if that's even the woman. So I'm not going to remove her from my dialer. Same here. Minnie says no, delete my number. you're not interested, but I will not remove her from the dialer. Uh, and just to reiterate, I'm not calling that same number. I'm only calling the other on my dialer. When I'm calling this property on my dialer, it's going to be the same name, it's going to be the same address, but it's going to be all of the other numbers associated with that property. So I may just be wasting my time calling through those numbers, but I think it's worth it because I'm not quite sure if this is even the right person who's texting me. So for all I know, this is not Minnie, and when I call the other numbers on my dialer and ask for Minnie, she may say, "Yeah, this is her, and yeah, I am interested in selling." So I'm only removing them from my dialer if it's like crystal clear that it is the person that I was trying to get a hold of. All right, I'm all caught up. Let me see how many have gone out at this point. Come over into bulk actions. So we're about halfway through. Processed about 44. Sent off 105 texts so far. Gotten probably about a 10% reply rate on that immediately, which is, I think, pretty good. A lot of these people are going to take a couple hours to get back to you. Again, that's kind of the beauty in it as well. Sometimes I'll have people text me back favorably hours later, or days later. I had one woman that I was really close on getting a contract signed with her. We came to a verbal agreement and everything. And she had texted me like 5 to 7 days after the last text that I sent her. So that kind of just speaks to the power of like staying top of mind with your sellers. So just because they're not texting me back doesn't mean that they're not getting those texts and reading those texts and maybe thinking in the back of their mind, hey, maybe I should sell. This does seem like a good option for me, and then a week later they say, okay, you know what, I need to sell my house, let me go find that text from that guy who's been texting me. Mhm. Nothing crazy, but it's also kind of to be expected. I don't expect anything crazy. Again, really just looking to um, pad the stats in some regard, get a couple hundred texts off, get through some no's, you know what I mean? Start shaving the list. That's like really my goal. I'm trying to keep it really simple. Get as much data in, sort through the data, you know, tackle the low-hanging fruit uh, and set appropriate follow-ups for the people who may be interested, just not right now. And really, that's it. And that's all I'm trying to keep it very simple. And I'm trying to stay consistent about it, which is why I'm taking it kind of in bite-sized pieces so that I don't just text 1,000 people today and then have nobody to text and for another week or two. Okay, so like Margarita here, she says no, never. To me, that sounds like it's the person. When I'm asking about buying the property and they're saying no, never, I'm going to go ahead and safely assume that is the person. So I'll go find her in my dialer. Mark her not interested. Mark her not ready. Save that. Hi, have you given any thoughts about not texting me, calling me, emailing me, or mailing me about my property? Have you given thoughts about me parting ways with you by filing harassment charges? Leave me the hell alone. Um, I think that is the right person. She mentioned the property. Not interested, and I'm also going to tag her as DNC. Go find her in my dialer. Mark her not interested. Not ready. I might as well flag her do not contact as well. Again, I don't text those people back. I don't recommend you either. Cranking the texts out here. See if we can get some type of response from these. They're pushing up pretty aggressively now. Sometimes they'll send. I think when those 5 minutes start to pass, now they're sending off texts and Ringless voicemails. Okay, so Steven says that is not my property. What I'm going to do to him is now you can have templates for like some type of responses you'll get pretty frequently, more than others, so that you can come up with like quick replies. So in this case, I have a template, is what they're referred to as, is that is not my property. Um, I don't own the property, not the owner. I say use template, and it says my apologies. We buy houses all over. Oh, he actually texted me before I was able to text him back, so I'm not going to say that. I'm going to come back here 1 second and catch up before I read that text that he just sent me. Looks like I'm getting a couple replies coming in. They have an app on the phone too, so which is pretty useful when you're like out and about. That's typically where I will see the responses that come in, hours later, days later. Gives me a little push notification on my phone, and if I'm out and about, I can just text them right back, right then and there, which is also powerful in any marketing, any outbound marketing where it's soliciting really texting is interesting because it's a kind of like a hybrid, right? Outbound marketing being like cold call, that type of stuff. you're trying to get them, you're trying to get a hold of them right then and there. Inbound marketing is like PPC, Google ads, social media ads, billboards, where it's like you're putting it up there and you're waiting for somebody to come to you. Um, with inbound marketing, I haven't done a whole lot of it. I did like some direct mail. Um, the most important thing is what I've gathered is to do your very best to answer the phone right when they call you. Because if they're calling you off of your mailer, your direct mail piece, they're likely, if you don't answer, they're likely going to call the next mailer. They've come to the conclusion, okay, I need to sell my house. Let me call these 20 people that have been sending me postcards. So if you don't answer, they're calling the next person. And if they answer, they're probably going to sell it to them. So there is power in answering the phone right when inbound marketing leads call you. Um, so that's why I say texting is kind of like a hybrid. So if they're going to take 5 days to text me back, I do still think it's powerful to be able to text them back right away. Because again, I may not be the only person texting them. So like that woman, a week went by and she probably had the realization, okay, I need to sell. Let me go text everybody back who's been texting me to see what the best price I can get. So there is, I think, power and benefit in replying to somebody right away when that's the case, them texting you back 5 days later. No way. And please don't text me. Respectfully, Jim. So that was the person that I was looking for. I'll go ahead and come and find him in my dialer and remove him. Replies are starting to trickle in here now. Let me catch up real quick. When I say catch up, I just mean, again, I'm going through each individual text. It may sound very kind of redundant and unnecessary, but it only takes me a quick second because I'm not doing this at crazy high scale or large volume. And if I have the ability to kind of stop the marketing to somebody where I'm just wasting money anyways, I'm going to go ahead and take that opportunity. Like removing people from my dialer who have expressed no interest through text, or somebody who, in this case, kicked back as an error code, and I would just be wasting money texting these people because they can't receive text. So I can go ahead and stop the marketing right there. Dexter says, no, it's not for sale unless you offer me $1 million. Not interested. High asking price. I may even, now that I've kind of been thinking out loud and about that high asking price, I may even only tag high asking price for people who have like a slightly unreasonable high asking price, as opposed to somebody who's like, yeah, $10 million. Because that person, I don't think ever will sell. I think that's what I'm going to do moving forward. So like this person, I'm not going to actually tag as high asking price. He's talking 1 million just for giggles. Let's see what his estimate is. Again, this is my driving for dollars property. So it was 113,000 is this estimate. Keep that in mind. These are people who I have, on Google Maps at least, visually determined that there is physical distress to the property and it's needing repairs. So all these people, they got ugly houses. Just to kind of keep it short and sweet, all these houses are very ugly. I'm not interested in selling. Be careful when you do set up your triggers about certain verbiage, like not interested. At first, I had just that phrase, not interested, as a trigger, saying, hey, telling the system, if anybody texts me back saying the phrase not interested, go ahead and mark them, tag them not interested. But then I had one person say, I'm not interested right now, but I may be in 3 months or something like that. And luckily I was going through my text individually, like I've been saying, and I saw that and I was like, oh, I need to remove that. It needs to be a whole lot more specific. The trigger not interested, or the phrase not interested is just a little too general because it can be included in a text just like that. Stop. System picked up on that. Error. Tagging them cold call. They get added to that list. Going through, making sure I'm not texting people with errors. Getting some replies coming in. Once I catch up, I'll be able to see those. I'm about 3 minutes behind, so about 15 texts. Because 5 go out every minute. You got the wrong number. System picked up on that. Should have at least. Yeah, it did. Stop. System picked up on that. Tagged it DNC. Error. Error. Get lost. That's probably a trigger I can set up in the background, but just for now, tag them not interested. Again, don't know if that's the right person, so I'm not going to go ahead and remove them from my dialer. Kristen, all she said was no. So same thing. I know that this person who I'm texting is not interested. I just don't know if that's the right person. So I'll tag them not interested. Gosh, they're coming in, huh? They're coming in. Stop contacting me. Wrong number. System handle both of those. No. Interested. Error. Where the lead's at? Let me go back to that other guy who texted me. saying, it's my father's property and please call him. I do not know his number. Okay, so I'm just going to tag this person as wrong number then.
My client is at 12.
Bobby says, I don't own it. So here's a perfect opportunity to template response to I don't own that property. I'm going to say, my apologies. We buy houses all over the city in which the property that I texted him about is in. By chance, would you or anybody you know happen to have property they'd be interested in selling? Send that off. But I will tag him. I don't own it. Well, no, I'm going to wait to see if he replies to that before I disposition him any other way. What? He went like in the middle of the night last night. So for those people, they will remain in the replied section of my contacts. And then every once in a while, I will leave the people who I send templated responses to in the replied section. And then if a few days goes by, I just make a kind of a habit of revisiting that replied list and then cleaning it out. For somebody who says like, I don't own it, I may tag them wrong number or whatever, just to go ahead and remove them from the replied list. But anybody who I have like kind of engaged in conversation with, whether it be just a quick templated response or any type of me replying to them before sorting them and placing them in the appropriate bucket, I will just kind of leave them in the replied bucket and then clean that replied bucket up every once in a while. So Bobby says, to that templated response, I live in Minnesota. So I'm going to go ahead and just say wrong number. Let me check this person's mailing address. Mailing address is Houston, so this is just the wrong number. So now I can tag them wrong number, get rid of the reply tag, mark it as red. Oh. Faye says, then where would I live? See, like this is one where it's pretty common. I could probably create a template for where would I live / go, right? You get that kind of often because it's owner occupied. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're not interested. So I think it does deserve some type of a response. say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if this was a rental for you or if a rental of yours. If you did have any interest in selling this place, we can make you an all cash offer on this place. I could put you in contact with a realtor to help you relocate. See if she replies to that. Depending on how she replies to that is if she's interested or not at all. Again, so I'm not going to tag her right now. I'm just going to leave her in that replied section. And if a few days goes by, she hasn't texted back, I'll just go ahead and tag her not interested. Any deals lately, Daniel? Um, we're working one. Me, Jared, and Raina got one under contract. Hoping that they can get in there sometime this week to get some pictures taken so that I can start working the magic and finding a buyer for it. We're just unable to really market it out to buyers right now until we get access to the property and can get some pictures. Sure did. I sold in August. So I'm just a little late about this property. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my template, which is already sold, which is, oh, okay, would you happen to have any other property you'd be interested in selling at the moment? And this is somebody that I can tag right now and just say already sold is the tag. We don't want to sell it. Who sent this? Not going to reply. Just going to say not interested. Remove them from dialer because it's clear that that is the person, right? Mark them not interested, mark them not ready. And I'm also going to find that other person, Gregory, who said that he already sold it. He just texted back saying that he doesn't have any other properties as well. Mark him not interested, mark him not ready, remove him from my dialer. For this situation, I could even send him another templated response saying, not interested referral, which is completely understand. We're actively buying in your city, so if you happen to know anybody looking to sell, we offer a referral fee. Take care. I could do that. I'm not going to though. This gentleman, I really haven't until I get a bigger marketing budget. I'm kind of again just going after the low hanging fruit and not wasting marketing dollars, marketing spend on like those type of responses because in all likelihood I'm going to need to send off a whole lot more referral text to actually get a referral than I am just going to have to send off initial text to find somebody who's actually interested for their property. So until I kind of scale up a little bit and have some more marketing dollars, I'm going to kind of hold off on sending those type of texts. Even like the not interested type of text, like people who are doing this at scale. Just because somebody says they're not interested doesn't mean that they can't drop them into another campaign that is like they'll get texted every month over the course of the next year, right? Depending on the type of lead, if it's like a water shut off list or a driving for dollars lead, somebody who you've identified probably either needs to solve their problem by themselves or needs help solving their problem by selling their property. You may get somebody who says not interested, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to stop marketing to them. For me, in my case, with my small marketing spend, I'm going to stop marketing to them. But for somebody doing it at scale, they may even drop them into a follow up campaign just because they said not interested. Faye says, "You paying full price?" Question mark. Okay. I'll ask her what price that is. She says full price. What does that mean? She's clearly not interested in selling, though. You know what I mean? Two. So let me go through all the replies here. Glenn, we don't want to sell it. Who sent this? I just went ahead and tagged him not interested. Get rid of replied and mark it as read. And I took him off of my dialer, if I remember correctly. Yep. Now, this person said 350K. I'd imagine that's out of my price range again, because these are my driving for dollars properties. In the area that I'm driving, prices aren't going that high. His estimate's 178. I'll go ahead and just tag them. Not interested. High asking price. Remove them from the dialer. I'm just going to go ahead and operate under the assumption that if anybody texts me a number when I'm texting them about a property, that they do in fact own that property. I could be mistaken in that as well, but again, to each his own. Everybody's going to do it differently. And I really, again, I mentioned this on every video. I do not want this channel to be like, this is how you're supposed to do it, because I'm new to the game as well. And I'm learning, something new every day. And I may do this now, and then a couple weeks from now, a couple months from now, I may be like, why was I ever doing it like that? So that's why I always open it up for recommendations and suggestions as well, just as I know that there are people who may are just kind of getting their feet wet in this business, just starting out, haven't done their first deal, that are tapping into this type of content. I know that there's probably people who are doing multiple deals a month. I know, in fact, that people are doing that because they're reaching out to me and we're connecting. So I definitely open it up for recommendations or suggestions. If anybody's a killer in the game and they feel like you hear me say something like, and you feel like I'm maybe doing something inappropriately or incorrectly, please, I invite that. Let me know. Hey, I heard you say this. You should be doing this. I find success by doing this. But don't come and tell me what to do if you haven't done a deal. Just be honest. Derek, how are you today, my man? Doing great. Doing great, Jay. Thanks for hopping in here. Appreciate it. That's how are you doing? Long time no see, everybody. Hell yeah, good luck. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate everybody hopping in here. I know I've been kind of falling back a little bit, been dealing with a lot of stuff, my car specifically. And I mentioned this earlier in the video, but today is kind of the last thing that I have to get taken care of. I'm going to take my car in to get serviced, hoping that I should be able to pick it up by the end of today. And that'll just kind of, in terms of my car, I had a pop, flat tire, had to get new tires. So after today, I'll have my oil change, my new tires, car completely serviced and inspected, all that good stuff, so I don't have to worry about it, and I can just get back in the swing of things. Valentine's Day came up. Me and my girl took a day trip to the beach on Friday. Spent all day together yesterday. I took a trip up north to go visit my mom last week as well. So I just been kind of running all over the place. Visited my sister, my nephews. Um, I wanted to make sure to kind of. I told myself in the beginning of the year that was one of my resolutions was to go up north, about an hour drive, and go visit my family once a month. So wasn't able to do it in January, so I wanted to be sure to get up there quickly in February. You paying full price? Okay. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and say not interested. Take her off of my dialer. Mark her not interested. Mark her not ready. Save it. Gregory says, I don't. Sorry. This guy already sold, which was what his tag was. Let me remove him from the dialer as well. I think I might have already did. Just need to mark his conversation as read. Delphina says no. Again, don't really know if that is the person or not. Just going to go ahead and mark it as read. I will not remove her from the dialer though. Lucinda, however, says, I, in all caps, mind you, I am not the owner. House sold in 2020. So she was the owner, but she sold it. So I'm going to hit her with the template again, which is my already sold, don't own it anymore. Oh, okay. Would you happen to have any other property to be interested in selling at the moment? But for the most part, I can go ahead and mark her as already sold and remove her from my dialer. She replies with another property, then that's one thing. But in terms of this property right here, there's no point in marketing to it anymore. Bonnie says no. Tag her not interested, but leaving her in the dialer. Oops. That's all the replies, aside from the ones that may have been like stop or all that good stuff, quit, unsubscribe. So I think that's all of the text. Let me go ahead and just sift through these individually. These last few that went out, make sure that I'm not sending anything with error codes. No, we cannot talk about it because address is not for sale at all. So please stop texting me about it. System picked up on that, marked it DNC, something in there, probably not for sale, or stop texting me. The word stop is what did it. Remove her from the dialer. That's that. Let me go check my contacts, just double check. I do believe that those were all the people though. Yeah, so it's done. Sent off 236 texts successfully with 0 errors. So there you go. Hanging in there, bro. It's good to hear, Jay. It's good to hear. Dennis says no, we cannot talk about it. I'm interested. Again, not going to remove Dennis from my dialer because I don't know if that's truly Dennis. So sent off 236 successfully. See what kind of reply rate I've already gotten. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 32 replies on 236 texts within the first probably 30 minutes. Mind you, a lot of those are like wrong numbers. Stop talking to me. All that. I mean, they're all unfavorable, but again, just to kind of pad the stats. If I can get like out of those 32, maybe 10 of those were like people that actually were no's, and I could remove them from my dialer as well. That's my goal. Is when I foresee myself doing this full time is sending off about 250 texts on Monday, 250 texts on Tuesday, maybe even like 500 if my marketing spend allows it. That way I can get 10 to 20 good solid contacts, whether they be no's or yeses, through text, and then hit the dialer for 2-3 hours a day to be able to get anywhere but another 30 to upwards of 50 contacts in on the dialer as well, so that I can hit like a minimum. My goal is like a minimum of 50 contacts a day. um, I'm unable to do that right now just because my schedule doesn't really allow it, but that's kind of the benchmark where I want to be, is about 50 contacts a day, whether they be through text or through cold calling, or through follow up. To be honest, I'm down with that as well, because follow up, you're not going to hit as many. If I have 10 people that I want to call that day, I may get a hold of 4 or 5 of them, and of those 4 or 5, a couple of them may say that they're not interested. But again, just kind of pad the stats, like just do a little bit of something every day in all aspects of the business, whether it be texting, cold calling, driving for dollars, or lead follow up for me, and hopefully disposition. I want to be able to have enough contracts to where I find it's worth my time to carve a chunk out of my day to just handle finding buyers, or just kind of pushing things to the closing table, whether it be transaction coordinating with title, speaking with tenants, facilitating the back end of the deals. That's a goal of mine as well, is to not only pump the numbers up in terms of the acquisitions, but have enough properties under contract where, again, I find that it's worth my time to say, okay, you know what, I have 3-4 properties under contract. I should be working on the disposition side of things for at least 1 to 2 hours a day. But at the volume that I'm putting out right now, it's like not really worth. Essentially, when I get something under contract, I prioritize that over lead generation. um I'm trying my best not to like let it take from that, but it happens. Just wearing that, every hat, handling all aspects of it. um it's kind of, and doing it part-time, it's kind of hard to really set a concrete schedule. So that's everybody. They all got sent out. Got a good amount of replies, like I said. um Gonna skedaddle in a second here. Just gonna let it breathe. See if I have anybody worth following up with on my texting platform in my kind of CRM. Um, Checking to see how daughter and family are doing. Confirm. Okay, I remember this one. So this woman like was kind of rude up front. Was like, "I'm not doing anything while my family's there," and I was like, "Oh, okay, of course." Like just so I understand, is there a possibility that they're moving, or have you talked about it? She says, we have had discussions, but finding an affordable place is ridiculous. I said, okay, did you have a number in mind that you would want for the property if you did end up selling? And she said 140. My MAO was 165 less repairs. So I was probably going to look at like 40,000 in repairs. So I would need her a little bit lower, but she's not asking an unreasonable price. I said, if I can be somewhere in that ballpark, do you think that you'd want to move forward before the holiday season? This was back in October. She says, let me think. I'll need to discuss it with my daughter. Follow it up in a month. She says, I did talk with my daughter. It doesn't look like anything's going to happen this year. Check with me next year. Can I have a name to add my contacts? I said, of course, my name's Derek. I'll be sure to check back with you early next year. So I'll shoot her a text right now and say, Sharon, hope you had a good holiday season. I guess I called her at one point a month ago, connected with her. She said, still not the best time. Son-in-law, I think, was hospitalized, and uh, her daughter and their family have run into tough financial times. I received permission to follow up in a few months to see how things are. Um, sure. Just wanted to round back with you and wanted to round back with you. This is Derek. We've been talking about the property on this drive of it. As we spoke, I think your son-in-law was hospitalized. Better? Should I not mention the property? I just wanted to run back with you. Last we spoke, I think your son-in-law was hospitalized. I'm not going to mention the property. And if she doesn't delete her text, she'll just be able to scroll up and see. So just, hey, Sharon, just wanted to run back with you. Last we spoke, I think your son-in-law was hospitalized. Is he doing better? Send that off. If she hasn't replied in a week, I'll give her a call. Just a little manual follow-up here. Besides Jared, do you work with anyone else in Texas? From the YouTube channel, a couple people have kicked me some lists, but Jared and Raina are really the only ones from YouTube that I have, I guess, entered into a working relationship with. Yeah. All right. That's kind of what I wanted to do. Again, some light today just to stay on top of things, get a little marketing out. If I'm able to get back from my dropping my car off, I may hop on here in like 3-ish hours. I'm gonna actually gotta take my dog out after that. So maybe like 3 to 4 hours, I might come back on here and try to do a little bit of calling as well. Probably gonna focus on follow-ups if I am able to get back on here and hop on the phone. So appreciate you guys if you're in here. If you're watching this after the fact, I appreciate you as well. Do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe button before you leave if you haven't already. And I will catch you on the next one. Appreciate you. Peace.